Hello there, everybody. Um, I'm back. This is going to be a very, very simple video because it's a bit late. I guess I'm a bit tired, but I'm in a good mood. I was in a good mood yesterday. I'm in a good mood today, and I can record this video. I don't think I'm going to edit it because hopefully everything I say will be fine. Hopefully there won't be much background noise. There's not going to be any wind. Hopefully the mic's alright. Basically, everything's going to go correct. Hopefully. But this is my weekly Wednesday waffle. Hopefully this will be uploaded on a Wednesday. Sorry to all the swimming guys for not coming today, because I'm going to be teaching on Wednesdays soon. That's why I'm skipping a couple of Wednesdays, because I know that I'll be on Wednesdays every other day, so might as well make the most of what I have. I'll be there Friday though, I think. But anyway, hello everyone, this is Weekly Wednesday Waffle. It's what the title says, but if you don't understand, basically I just talk about my life. It's pretty simple, but I really like it. It's like journaling to a camera. It's talking to someone, and yet you're not talking to anybody. It's quite structured, and yeah, I really enjoy it. So, this is episode 11. I almost have tea. I have a cup, but I don't have tea, so I can't say what's brewing. But I guess I just did. But I'm pretty sure it's it. No, it's 12. Jeez. So yeah, I guess almost physical thing, but I feel like this is a lot of mental as well. As it on Monday, I went swimming. This is pretty normal, to be honest. However, that same day I'd just done like I'd done some push-ups before swimming. I didn't realize how rusty I'd been, and getting into swimming, I'd also had a very late dinner, so I was quite tired. I was quite sluggish. I was quite weak, and what that made me realize during the session is that actually being weak is really, really good. This sounds really weird, right? No one has ever told you that being weak is good. I believe it, in a way, is, because when you're weak, that is when it truly shows how you are as a person. And what's more, when you're weak, you can focus on technique in training. So, for example, for climbing, the weakest climbers actually have the best technique, because since they can't climb relying on strength, they climb relying on technique, learning how to use their legs effectively, learning how to use their arms effectively, and learning how to manipulate their weight. I skipped that, and with a lot of sports I have skipped it, because actually I'm quite strong. I've been able to skip this technique phase and just powered through some pretty hard stuff, and just became pretty decent. But now, as I'm getting slightly older, and I know people here are like triple my age, but that's besides the point. The point is, as I am still getting older, I'm still learning, I'm still developing as a person, this strength element is now almost beginning to plateau. My mum's about to maybe come into my room. I'm just going to tell her to not do that. But, Mama, ty możesz pожалуйста nie zachodzić z moją komnatą, пока. Anyway, hi. Yeah, so because I've always been able to power through, it's almost meant that my technique's been really poor. Now I've almost plateaued with my power, and so now I have to focus much more on technique or other minor things which will develop my abilities and just stuff. And so this almost comes in the fact that strength actually comes in many, many forms. In a way, being weak is being strong. In fact, knowing yourself and not being afraid is very, very strong. To be able to turn up to the climbing gym as a weak climber and to showcase your technique to everybody is really, really strong. And so, in a way, I almost wish I was physically weaker. However, that's not something I want to ask for, because I do like being strong, and it does allow me to make discoveries like this fairly early, to know what I want to do. Personally, if I were to do an action point on this, if it was an ideal world, I'd probably pick up a musical instrument just to learn technique, because musical instruments have nothing to do with power, nothing to do with strength, nothing to do with prior knowledge. Well, they do have stuff to do with prior knowledge, but since I don't have any prior knowledge, a musical instrument would be the perfect way for me to practice technique. But, as you can see, I got a haircut. I didn't like it. I still don't particularly like it, because my old haircut, which was longer, almost was a permanent reminder of who I want to be when I grow up and who I want to be as a person. If you don't know, it's Link. It might sound weird. Yes, he's a video game character. I also think he's pretty cool. It's almost like a tattoo. My hair was almost like a tattoo, which I could look at and be like, okay, I remember who I am. I remember what I want to do. I remember what my goals are. Let's stay on that path and not branch off and do something irrelevant. But at school, I got to school, and this haircut, right, I had a bad day about it, and then I was like, okay, it's alright, it doesn't really matter, it's just a haircut. Your haircut doesn't define who you are. I turn up to school, and this kid called Alex comes up to me and says, hey, so he just got a buzz, right? He everything came off. He had really, like, nice, not nice, he had, like, alright long hair with a bit of dandruff, but it was pretty decent, and he buzzed it all off, and he looked like an egg. And he came up to me and said, Grisha, I thought my haircut was going to be the worst today until I saw yours. This was pretty hot. Like, it's a really, like, basic insult. But almost the basic insults are the ones that get to me the most. I didn't retaliate, don't worry, everything was fine. I never even talked to him about it, I just kind of ignored it in my mind. But at that moment I made a mental note to come back to it. And essentially, what my mental note was that there is so much strength and courage to be taken in not listening to what others say and not conforming. I've talked about this before in, I believe, maybe the previous one or the one before that, in the comparison one, the Comparison Wednesday Waffle. But not being able to compare to others is almost a superpower and a strength in and of itself, going back to the weakness thing. But now I'm beginning to learn that, and the fact that it is, like, it's really almost courageous to do it, and that I find it uncomfortable, so I need to get over it. I'm now beginning to become more adapted to almost not necessarily making a fool of myself in public, but doing more uncomfortable things or not taking insults as personally, which you might see soon. But essentially, I went on a vlog trip by myself to the Olympic Park in Stratford, just to learn if I liked vlogging. What I didn't realise is that it made me realise I actually really like editing. I like editing videos, even though I'm pretty bad at it. When I remove the comparison factor, when I remove the fact that my timelines are like 3 bars long, and then you look at like Alvin Zhu Films, who makes food documentaries, and he's got like 17 bars. When I remove that, I actually really enjoy it, and I really like the learning curve of that. And if I had time today, I would have done it. I went climbing instead, because tomorrow I think I'm going to see Portia, because she's not going to be here on the weekend, and I'm going to be able to go climbing on the weekend. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It doesn't really matter. The point is, I had a pretty successful week, and vlogging has made me realise I actually really like editing. And so I might do that as a passion project. Hopefully that's what the vlogs will be actually. It'll be a bit of a passion project which I can just hone my editing skills on, hone my research skills on, whenever I want to, and pass time at home. Next, Stratford. Vlogging is easier with other people around, as usual. Other people around just doing stuff is much nicer, and I think the next one will hopefully be with someone else. Depends on the weather on Friday. Hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. Next prompt I have is, a low day can galvanise yourself. When I got the haircut, I was feeling pretty low, and that allowed me to get back to it, get back to my full mental capacity on the next day. And obviously now I'm feeling quite relaxed, I'm feeling quite meditative. Even though it's a bit late in the day, I've listened to some lo-fi, I've gone climbing, I've climbed hard. I've just enjoyed myself today. I'm very glad. I'm going to do some journaling hopefully afterwards. But in the same way that a bad day can galvanise you and make you want to do something, a good day can also make you want to do something. And now I both want to avoid the day I had on Sunday, where I wasted it because I was mulling over how bad my haircut was. And I also want to I want to replicate today and enjoy this day one more time. But one thing, almost a problem which I've encountered this week, has been that sticking to scripts and plans is hard. Part of the reason is, like, making plans is just hard in general. And actually I'm not that bad at sticking to this script. I kind of talk off a bit, but generally it's alright, and I hope the camera's focusing, you know. I won't check. I think it is. That looks pretty focused to me. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. But that's what I mean. Sticking to plans and scripts is hard. So, for example, with my climbing, I want to do a training plan, but it's extremely difficult to actually stay consistent on it. Part of the reason is because it is a new gym and I haven't been able to learn all the boulders and learn what to do. But that's not exactly an excuse for other stuff which I do find hard. For example, I want to do a little calisthenics stretching thing at home, which is quite hard to do, quite hard to stick to a plan, partly because I haven't got into a routine. So maybe not sticking to plans and scripts is hard, but making them and then starting on them is quite hard. But this kind of taught me the value of discipline. Because quite often people said, oh, you just need to be disciplined, and I'm like, no. No. You have to enjoy the process, and that will mean you don't have to be disciplined. However, now I'm beginning to accept that discipline is actually a very fundamental part of being human and of developing as a person. If I have no discipline, if I just do everything I enjoy, I'm just never going to do any schoolwork, and then I'm going to fail on school. Or not fail, I'll still do well, I just won't do as well as I want to, I won't feel as fulfilled. And fundamentally, discipline feels good. If you stick to your discipline, and if you're consistent, and if you just keep doing something every day, disciplined, on a bad day you still do it, because weakness actually improves your technique, that's always enjoying the process in and of itself. Basically, I want to read Discipline as Destiny as well. That is a notification on my computer, which I'm going to put away. But this discipline versus enjoying the process... Was it focused? I don't know. This discipline versus enjoying the process comes back to something else, which you guys might not have heard of, but I've thought about quite often sometimes, is... should I be focused or should I be carefree in my life at the moment? Because if I'm focused, if I lock in per se for, let's say year 11, right? I'm locked in, I somehow start social media, or I somehow make a decent enough business, and I do well at school. I lock in, but I don't enjoy my life as a 16-year-old. I don't enjoy the free time which I do have. And that focus can become detrimental in some ways. But on the other hand, if I do nothing, if I only do what I enjoy, if I climb 5 days a week, never go swimming, never go to school, or even if I do go to school, if I just don't try at school, that's going to be less satisfying than caring to some extent. And so, what I've realised now is that actually discipline and feeling good about enjoying the process, or being focused and being carefree, or for me, in my mind, being Link and being a samurai, which one day I'll explain this to you guys, but they don't have to be separate, but they can be together in a bit of a compromise, or one can lead to the other. For example, if you work on being focused, you then enjoy the process, and then you can be carefree within enjoying the process. Whereas if you're completely carefree, you'll learn that you actually need to focus. If I am let's just imagine a cup. But this absolutely links to this thing which I was talking about, Link. I'm going to delve into it in another video, hopefully someday, another day, another time. But one of the things I adore the most about Link as a character in a video game, it's not just that he's a cool guy, that he's just he's a very inspirational role model character for me, but it's the fact that he has the Triforce of Courage, which is fundamentally, I think it's the most important one of the three, because whereas Ganondorf has power, and obviously you guys might not know this, but the Triforce is essentially like a little triangle with something in it, another triangle in the middle, like triangle. Imagine a little triangle in the middle. There are 3 different parts to the Triforce, hence Tri. And Zelda has the Triforce of Wisdom, Ganon has the Triforce of Power, and Link has the Triforce of Courage, generally. I think that what I need to work on is actually the Triforce of Courage at the moment. And just in general life, I think a lot of people can work on their courage. Courage is Calling, Ryan Holiday. I need to read Ryan Holiday books. The point is, to be courageous is quite a lot to ask. To be courageous is to be disciplined in a way, because discipline is hard and you need courage to then say, okay, actually it'll be fine. Actually, I'll probably enjoy it. So let's do this. And so this courage has become a almost crucial part of my mindset now. Where if I don't want to do something, I say, what if I was Link? What if I was truly courageous? Or let's say I am courageous. What do I do in a courageous valor? Valorant? I don't know, chivalrous situation almost. Because however outdated these concepts of valor, chivalry, and courage may be associated to medieval battles or warfare, I actually think they're really relevant in real life in general. At least I'm beginning to realise that now. There'll be more journaling on it, there'll be maybe a video on it, it will definitely come up in a Wednesday Waffle. But to summarise, I want to be more courageous, you want to be more courageous. Link has the Triforce of Courage, I want to be Link. And the final little point I've got is on making money. And how this links to the editing, but a lot of the ways people learn to make money, or not learn to make money, but do make money, is that they tap into a skill which they already have. Let's take, for example, Ali Abdaal, who I love as a creator. I think he's really inspirational. He tapped into the fact that he was a medical student to then start his YouTube channel, and then tapped into the YouTube channel to make the part-time YouTuber Academy. And then he tapped in from his podcast, and he did some research, and he made his voice pal, which was on journaling, and he really liked journaling. Another example, let's say Noah Kagan. You guys might not know him, serial entrepreneur, but he started with stuff. I don't know, but in his book, $1 Million Weekend, he says that what you actually want to start with is not something completely otherworldly, like drop shipping or whatever the next guru says, but you want to do something within your reign of influence, within your sphere of influence, and what you're already somewhat good at, which is why I think part of the reason starting a business as a younger person is quite hard, because you haven't developed these skills. And honestly, I don't know what I want to do. I know that perhaps I want to do something to do with animals. There might be a time when I start researching them. Hopefully that'll be quite soon. I don't know what I'll do. I've been thinking of making a social media for it, but I feel like that makes it way more intimidating, so I'm just going to start by maybe even just reading this encyclopedia and learning about some animals which live in my area so I can take photos of them and then build into photography and learn from that, because life kind of just takes twists and turns. At my age, to conform myself to a business model as such is kind of silly almost, because it will mean that I can't grow in other lateral ways. It streamlines your growth for now. Which is part of the reason I want to do YouTube, but also why I do think that a more laborious job may be good, because that will also teach me to be almost like a servant to someone. But generally, I'll learn with time, and I just need to try stuff and not get analysis paralysis, which I get quite a lot, where I just plan and never do, because actually I'm afraid. I need courage to overcome that fear, or I need to acknowledge the fear and actually be like, okay, there's a reason that fear is there, this is not what I want to do. You know what, why not tap into that? I think that a lot of people, especially, like, my brother does this a lot, where he's afraid of something, let's say, for instance, a parkour jump, and he gets really annoyed with himself, and I have to say, I do the same thing too sometimes. When you can't do something, or when you're afraid of it, you get really annoyed, and you're like, why can't I do this? You think you really want it, but there was a really good video I watched which said that actually your fear and your procrastination might not be a flaw, but rather be a feature. In that the reason you might not be doing something, the reason you might be afraid, is because it's just not right for you. I've been implementing that a lot in my life. I think this is links to the hell yes or no principle, where something is a hell yes or a no and never an in-between. It's kind of hard to do that as a teenager when you're forced to do a lot of stuff. But I feel like I can apply it more to my life, and this, if I dislike it, I might as well not do it mindset, I think it's quite powerful, because however powerful discipline is, going back to the very first point, if I just power through everything, I'll never develop technique. And ultimately, I want business and making money to feel like a game. I want it to be enjoyable. I want everything to feel like I am Link, in this video game, or like I'm a samurai in this battle trying to win the war. Which sounds quite grisly, but I really want it. I'd really enjoy that, I think. I think samurais are really cool, and we're going to dive into that in another episode, because this is just over 20 minutes. So I'm going to wrap it up with my quote, haiku, and thing to think about. My quote is quite a simple one, actually. I might have used it before, but it's Noah Kagan, and it's simply, now, not how. Rather than getting analysis paralysis and thinking about something, just start it, and if you don't want to start it, it's probably wrong for you. But if you do start it, you can then learn from that, and this path will branch out into other stuff. The haiku is something which I wrote, obviously. I make haikus every week, if you do not know. Not every week, I make it every evening. I'm thinking I might do it more often, actually. Now I'm here, because they link me with the samurai mindset, but what this is stag are nowhere. A bear devours. Useless stag. Yet both a beauty. Essentially, what this is that there is two sides to every single coin. Whereas one can view the stag as useless, the bear can view it as a meal. Or we can view it as a poor, sympathetic creature. It's something which comes up a lot in my life. I think that there's never a one correct way to view something. Part of the reason I dislike the news so much is because they all say that their opinion's right. They might take another opinion into account, but ultimately their opinion is built upon their opinion. And opinion, subjectivity, I don't really want to get into this, just generally in my life, but the fact that there are multiple sides to every argument I think is really important for people to acknowledge. It's important for me to acknowledge, and not just to arguments, but to stuff. For example, with discipline. Yes, discipline is useful, but I think people take it too far and don't see the other side of the coin, which is that enjoyment is also extremely useful, are the macho men who are really annoying. And the last thing to ponder is, what's one small thing which you could do to improve right now? It could be putting your washing away or something. And now that I think about it, the main thing to take from this video is probably that weakness equals technique focus, and that actually failure isn't bad. And not even that failure isn't bad, but if you don't want to do something, that's not bad. And so my other thing to ponder would be that where are you doing something which you don't want to do? Or where are you afraid of something, but that fear is maybe irrational, but somewhat makes sense. This video is going to be straight uploaded from my camera to my PC to YouTube, so if you guys spot any errors, just shout them out. I just basically want to get it out on a Wednesday. I don't want to edit it because I want to edit my little vlog. I hope you enjoyed. I really liked my mindset in this one. Love you guys. Enjoy. Gemma, if you actually watch this way, please don't use the word as big as innovative. That's innovative. That's almost an entire line in a haiku. So, yeah. But I'll see you guys probably next Wednesday, maybe on Sunday, depending on how I edit. I don't think the video will be too long for the Stratford vlog, but we'll see. I really enjoyed making this video. I'm glad I did. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.